Well, if you're looking for a place to lend your voice, regardless of your ability, the Sick and Twisted Choir might be the place you're looking for. The choir meets every Monday night at the Prairie Theatre Exchange to share songs and community together, and everyone, and yes, I mean you, is invited. The choir is led by Emily King, who joins us in the Classic 107 studios. Nice to see you again, Emily.
It's so nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell me, first of all, where the idea for this choir came from and what sort of need that you saw that this choir could then fill.
Absolutely. Well, it started because Debbie Patterson, the artistic director of Sick and Twisted, was getting a lot of calls and inquiries about how to get involved in Sick and Twisted theater. And because they're primarily project-based, so we don't, always have a project or a show going on that folks can either, join or audition for, she started thinking about, how can we get the community involved in this theater? How can we connect and reach out to the folks in Winnipeg to join us? And she came up with the idea for having a community choir. So it's a place where folks of all abilities can come and learn to sing. And, our hope for the choir is that eventually we can perform at events, at protests, all across the board. So, yeah.
How exciting is that, Lynn? So Debbie Patterson has the idea for the choir to fill a need from the community that's being voiced, for lack of a better word. How then do you get involved as the choir's director?
Yeah, so I was involved in the panto over this past holiday season, which was just the most fun in the world. It was such a great time, and that's when I started sort of hearing a little bit about the idea for the choir and that they were looking for a choir director. And at first I was like, I don't know if I should, put my name forward. I've directed, musical theater classes, and I'm a voice teacher, but I'd never directed a choir before. But then I was chatting with Debbie and Teresa, our artistic producer for context. And she said, Emily, I feel like maybe you could direct the choir if you wanted. And I jumped on it. I was so excited. That vote of confidence meant the world to me. And it's been such a delight and so much fun so far. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
You mentioned that it's been going now for maybe a few weeks already to this point. Maybe you could take us inside the atmosphere. What is it like to be at a Monday night at the Prairie Theatre Exchange with the Sick and Twisted Choir?
It's so lovely. So we have much of the Prairie Theatre Exchange area is pretty quiet, so folks have kind of left for their work day, so we have all of this quiet, lovely space that we travel through to get into our studio. Everybody is so warm and kind and curious. The folks that have been joining us are just fantastic, so welcoming, so caring. We've been doing a really wide variety of repertoire and learning a few songs every 2 weeks or so. We're only 4 weeks in, but that seems to be our pattern thus far. We'll see if that kind of continues to play out or if that shifts and grows. But because it is sort of by and for the community, we're still really growing and establishing, what we are and how we want to move through the space. And it's a really exciting thing to kind of be involved in real time, watching it come together and what different folks bring in, because it is a drop-in choir. So sometimes we'll have somebody one week and somebody else the next week, and then those two people at the same time, within the context of the group. So it's really exciting.
You mentioned this sort of evolving nature of the ensemble, which seems very fitting given the fact that it is something that is meant for the community and then has to then respond to community needs. What sort of maybe challenges is maybe the wrong word, but I mean it does pose some sort of unique circumstances for you as somebody who is trying to coordinate what to sing, who's going to sing which part. I would imagine all of these things come up on a pretty regular basis. How do you juggle all of those different changing circumstances to create this welcoming environment for anyone and everyone to come join?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. We're figuring it out as we go, but it's been so far, it's been really fun. I mean, we're learning the songs, the melody, the sort of the main part of the song. And then after we learn that as a group in the class, we start to explore, where we can put the harmonies in. And our accompanist, Simon King, who is coincidentally my brother, he is a brilliant musician who can help us sort of craft the harmonies on the fly as needed. So if we have, a different array of voices, maybe, I was expecting some sopranos, but it's actually all, altos and tenors or lower voices. We can kind of shift and adjust as needed, which has been a really fun experience. And it's just kind of building step by step. And then as people come in, if the song's already been learned last week, but somebody new comes in, we do sort of a general review anyway. So hopefully, trying to get folks feeling comfortable and secure. And the beauty of a choir, too, is because there's so many voices. If you're feeling, a little unsure or a little insecure, you can always listen to the person next to you. You can always, tune into what's happening around you a little bit and then jump in when you feel comfortable. And we totally welcome that, too.
Not often you have an abundance of tenors in choir. Speaking as one myself. So now we get to some of the brass tacks. When you are teaching those melodies and you're all joining together in song, what kind of music can people expect to sing at Sick and Twisted Choir?
So many different kinds. It's been so much fun. We've been taking some suggestions in terms of genre and artists. So far in the 4 weeks we've done rehearsals, we've done I've Just Seen a Face by the Beatles. We've done Call Me by Blondie. We've done We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister.
Awesome.
Coming up, starting tonight, we're going to do a Woody Guthrie protest song, which I'm really looking forward to. We're going to do a little Weaker Thans for some Winnipeg rep, a little bit of Neil Young, and we're just kind of always looking for rep, looking for what people are interested in. We do want to have a little array of songs that we could do at a protest or an event. So our variety is pretty widespread right now. It's very exciting.
You mentioned a couple times now that you're looking to participate in these sort of community events, maybe speaking at some protest type of places as well. How do you go about answering that sort of call to say we need some music at this rally for some sort of cause for justice? How do you field those kind of requests, and then how do you anticipate mobilizing this choir to then be a part of these rallies for different causes?
Great question. So I will say it hasn't happened yet. So we'll see how it plays out. But
you're still young. Give it time.
Watch next week. It'll just be all calls.
Right, exactly.
But, our plan, I think, so far is because we have the, tremendous leadership of Debbie and Teresa to kind of guide us as well, sort of look at the events and what it calls for. I'm getting very good at researching, appropriate music and figuring out how to bring it into the space. I now have access to software that means that I can, transpose music or create sheet music for something if we need it. So I think, pulling our resources and matching it up with whatever the event is that we're being invited to. And then, the nature of the drop-in choir, I think at that point it would be, who wants to join? Great. Can you come to X, Y, and Z rehearsals, and then, can you come to the event? So I think it would be, fairly straightforward. We'll see how it all plays out.
As you're coordinating all of these songs and curating this community environment for the people that have requested it, what are you hearing in terms of feedback from the people about the things that they are liking about the ensemble, how maybe it continues to evolve in the coming weeks? And are they, by and large, saying that it is meeting this sort of initial need that they've been articulating now?
So the main thing that we're hearing is that, folks really want to have somewhere to connect with others. I think the pandemic really made it hard for people to find community, find resources to come together. So a really big part of this was, can we connect people with each other? Can we connect with the community? And I think so far the answer is very much yes. I see people, getting to know each other and sort of opening up and getting more and more comfortable as each rehearsal goes by. And it's a really exciting thing to see. I think also, singing in a group is a magical thing. The opportunity to do that every week in such a adaptable space, such a kind space, is really special and unique. So I think that hopefully, from my perspective, that's a need that we're meeting as well, and we'll continue to strive to meet and find new ways of meeting.
You've talked about the contributions that the choir hopes to make in the community and at rallies and things like that. How do you anticipate maybe the choir being a part of the rest of the artistic programming that Sick and Twisted Theatre will be offering? I know there's a show coming up in June, for example, but perhaps even other opportunities coming down the line that Sick and Twisted Theatre is putting on, that perhaps the choir then serves as a backing chorus?
That's the hope, is that, we get some folks that are interested and keen on maybe even participating in the panto next year. Involving the community more in our productions is something that's really exciting, and this feels like a great in. We don't have any solid plans yet, but we have a lot of things simmering, a lot of things that we're sort of trying to build towards. So the goal is, yes, hopefully we can have some shows where we essentially have that backing chorus of our community.
A lot of exciting prospects with the Sick and Twisted Choir. If people are hearing this and they would like to join, what's the best way for them to take part in the choir?
Absolutely. Well, you can just show up if you want. We're at PTE from 6 to 8 on Mondays. You're also welcome to email us at sickandtwistedchoir@gmail.com. You can check out our website, Sick and Twisted Theatre. And I think those are the main ways to get in touch.
We will post all of those ways at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app later on today. Emily King, the director of the Sick and Twisted Choir, thank you so much for joining us in the studios today and telling us more about it.
Thank you so much for having me.